So it's 7 o'clock. Do we have Matt?
Yes,
Matt's
Matt here.
Okay. And Matt, are you ready with opening?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Those in uniform, please salute. Those who are not, put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
And I want this to be, okay. So the point of the Scout law is Scout is loyal. This is another one of the postcards that I found and wanted to share this quote about loyalty. This is from Elbert Hubbard. Loyalty is that quality which prompts a person to be true to the thing he understands. It means definite direction and fixity of purpose. Okay. And so now we are on to announcements, council updates from Greg.
Good evening, everyone. I have two versions of tonight's council and program updates. One is shorter for the roundtable itself. The other will be posted on our calendar event page for tonight's roundtable and appended to the end of the recording of tonight for you to watch. Here's a reminder of our Trading Post Service Center hours at our two locations. We want to thank the individuals that participated in our McGee Cup Challenge and thank the McGee Foundation for their support of improvements at Moses Scout Reservation. Also want to thank the families and our staff members, John and Teddy, who participated in Camp Kindalika. We had over 1,500 Scouts participate from throughout the country. Scout Book continues to make new additions and add new resources. If you're a Cub Scout leader, I encourage you to look at the Den Leader Experience as tools to organize your meetings, as well as the new Cub Scout Adventure video resources to supplement your in-person and virtual activities. For our Scouts BSA team, we have had an error with our merit badge counselor list, but that has been corrected of September 1st. So we encourage you to go there and look for merit badge counselors within our council to connect with your Scouts. Unfortunately, a number of events have had to be postponed or canceled due to COVID gathering restrictions in the state of Massachusetts. Here are some activities that are occurring. We highlight our Family Fun Fest on Facebook Live September 12th and ask you to invite friends to join you there as a recruitment tool, particularly elementary aged children and families. Highlight our November 19th Honoring Our Heroes event. This is going to be a council-wide fundraiser in lieu of all of the fundraisers that have been canceled this year. More looking to get involved, here are two opportunities: workday up at camp on the 12th, as well as a new council coordinated committee meeting. So if you're involved at the council or district level with fund development, such as FOS, popcorn, membership recruitment, activities, advancement and recognition, our outdoor programs, particularly up at camp, and some of our subcommittees such as trades and cope and climbing, shooting sports, and then training, and ask you to join us on the 17th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. That's information's on our calendar. If you're interested in coming up to Moses, you're certainly welcome to do so. We ask that you sign in at the Manor House and then sign out when you leave. And also, if you have a Unity activity that you'd like to specifically reserve a tent or a cabin site, you can do so by calling our office, and Jasmine or I can assist you with that. It's only available for day use and outdoor use. So, but you can reserve a cabin location if you would like to. If you're looking for more information about in-person, getting started with in-person activities, you can do so on our council website. And if you have further questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a good evening.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Council Commissioner Josh, have
Good
any
evening.
updates you'd like?
Yes, a couple of things that I would like to just quickly talk about. First, I would like to reiterate what Greg was just talking about coming up, the Council Coordinated Committee meeting that will be happening on September 17th at 7 o'clock via Zoom. These meetings are an opportunity to kind of have a number of different program meetings at one time, but it's also a great opportunity for people who are interested in finding out what the different committees are working on, or if they would like to bring a particular topic up. This is the perfect time to do that. So if you are interested, or if you have a question, or if there's anything that you ever wanted to know about one of these committees, sign up for the meeting on the 17th and be there for 7 o'clock. And this will give you an opportunity to talk with various chairs of the committee and go through whatever information you might need, or answer any questions that you might have. A couple other things to just quickly talk about. This past weekend was the Gilwell reunion. This is an annual event that takes place at Gilwell Park in England. And like everything else, this year it moved to a virtual format. The website itself is still up. A lot of the various different program ideas were all recorded. So I would highly encourage people to go to the website. All you have to do is Google Gilwell Reunion 2020 and it'll pop up. And there's a lot of information for units at various different levels that's available there. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that the College of Commissioner Science is coming up the first weekend in December, so December 4th, 5th, and 6th. So the registration is live, so a great opportunity to get together. It will be via Zoom. And other than that, I will leave with this one last thing. We are in September now, which means recruitment. September also means recharter has started. So in terms of rechartering, of course, this is going to take on a very different look as well. There will be, and there will be more information to come very shortly, but I wanted to give everybody a heads up. There will be a permanent square on the homepage for the council website that will be specifically for rechartering. So everything to do with rechartering will be online. Now, most of the process is online anyway, but all of the paperwork that you will need, all of that, everything that you could possibly need for rechartering will be found on the council website. So if you are the person who always does the rechartering, everything you will need will be there. Once everything is ready to go, an email will be sent out with your code in order to log in. But other than that, everything else will be available on the council website. So more to follow on that. But other than that, I'm all set. Thank you very much, Ellie.
Great, thank you, Josh. And I think it's the other side of the room. Rebecca, do you have updates for Appalachian Trail?
I sure do. For my unit commissioners, we have another unit commissioner meeting on September 21st. It's going to be at 7 o'clock. I'll send out the Zoom link to everybody. And also the Appalachian Trail District, we're putting together a STEM Nova evenings. It's going to start the end of September, beginning of October. It's going to be on Saturday nights from 7 to 8. It's going to be a Zoom meeting. We're going to cap it off at about 25 scouts. And we're looking to cover somewhere between 9 and 8 of the STEM Nova modules. So more information of that will be out very soon.
Wonderful. Okay.
Mhm.
Great. From General Knox, we have one huge announcement to make. Jen Traw has completed her Wood Badge ticket, so we want to congratulate Jen for all of that, all of her hard work, everything she's done related to her pack. It was a fabulous evening to sit and review things with her, and I'm so excited for her. So congratulations to Jen. She's the first one from this class to have completed her ticket. So you go, girl. Other announcements for General Knox. The commissioner and committee meeting is this Wednesday on the 9th. The invitation has gone out from David O'Leary for the Zoom sign-in. Recruitment week is next week, the 14th to the 18th. And then coming up in October, we have a Cub Scout Fall Fun Day on the calendar that there will be more information, I'm sure, coming regarding that. Also on October 3rd, the training committee is running an introduction to outdoor leader skills, and that's at Moses Scout Reservation. So Mike, you have things from Metacomet?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Our district meetings are the first Thursday of the month, 7 o'clock. Mark Maloney can get you the website if anybody's interested, or just contact one of us. We've come to the decision we're canceling our fall camporee. We had planned on doing it first as a regular camporee, then we backed off and tried to plan it as a day event, and just trying to manage cohorts and patrols that would stay together throughout the day became virtually impossible at this point. So we've canceled that, and I believe Mark has canceled or at least put on hold for now, the Cub Fun Day for October. I think he's working on something to do with possibly a virtual event, but there's no details on that as yet. The commissioners meet before the district meeting. I think it's at 6 or 6:30. Again, that will be available to anybody, and like everybody else, we do need more unit commissioners. And if folks don't know, we have a new district commissioner, Lars Brown, who is an Eagle Scout and been invaluable with the troop. So I look forward to seeing more people at our events and meetings. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anyone here from the Order of the Arrow who wants to give an update? Okay, so the information I have is that the fall ordeal has been postponed, and on October 4th, the OA banquet and auction will be a virtual event. Okay. I also have some information for you now from Art regarding popcorn. Let's see if we can get the screen to share. Okay, and I need to go to, let me go here, okay. Oh, this is coming up as well. The 75th anniversary of the Moses Scout Reservation is on the 19th. Please follow up with the website. So popcorn, there is a New England Patriots tin. It's a 16-ounce salted caramel, and there is a limited supply. So the price is $30. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see where we stand with the popcorn goal. Right now, we're at 8%. Show and sell popcorn is available at the office. Please contact Art. And then the big thing is that next week, there will be some popcorn workshops coming up at 6:30 for experienced units and the new and prospective units. At 7:30, here are the links. So if you would like to take a screenshot, that would be a good thing for you to do. I'll leave it up for about 5 more seconds, and then it will be available because this meeting is being recorded too. So, okay. All right. So moving on, I need volunteers to do the opening and the closing on the October 5th roundtable. Any takers? Hearing none, okay, we'll put it onto the agenda for the planning meeting next week. Right, somebody remind me of that. Okay, Cheryl, do you have a membership update?
Let me just share. Let me just find where it is again. It's always my. Oh. Oh, and this always happens. Thank you all for coming this evening, even on the holiday. And we will, oh, and it doesn't want to go. Okay, we've got a lot of things going on, obviously, this month. This is our big recruitment month. So as some people have already mentioned, the National Open House and Pinewood Derby Facebook Live event, please invite people this Saturday. Great opportunity for folks to try out scouting. Next week, join Scouting Week. Monday through Saturday. Of course, you could continue on before or after that, but your unit chooses the date and the format. You plan the event, get in touch with either me or Art. We can help out. We have resources on the website, both from our council and from the national, and promote widely. I've seen really great recruitment promotions already this week. I know of one pack that's doing a fishing derby by invitation. I've seen Facebook posts from another pack with some really great messages, clear information, colorful, and good joining information of how folks can get involved. When you choose the format, check with your chartering organization and with any location that you want to use. If you're going to do in person, if you're going to do drive-through, set up stations in a well-lit parking lot, have it planned out, have a spot for folks to ask questions, either file virtual online applications or where they can drop off an application. I also know of a pack that's planning to do a carpool recruitment at a local parochial school that's associated with their chartered partner. So there are lots of ideas out there. You can do virtual, of course, through Zoom or GoToMeeting, and that way you're inviting people to a planned meeting, or completely online with either a QR code or a tiny URL or be a scout. Just get the promotion out there. Links for our Western Mass Council resources page, and of course the Scouting Wire Marketing and Membership Hub. Those links are on our page. Both of them are easily accessible. Please get in touch if you have any more questions or any way that we can help out, and enjoy a great recruitment season. Thank you all. Hey, Ellie.
Okay, great. Thank you, Cheryl. Right, we're going to go back into hot topics. This is a national, this month is the national topic is how to get Scout Book help and support. They are reminding us that there are many new features and that there are more tools that can help you learn about Scout Book when things arise. So there is a new sandbox for learning how it all works and a link to be able to do that. There's also something called Scouting Forums, which is a resource for answering questions, and the more you engage, the more you get out of it. So there's a link there as well. And within that link, you go to the Scout Book Forum, and then there's the User Advisory Council, who are volunteers who will help with questions and concerns and things like that. So this is just a brief, quick little advertisement to let you know that there is support for Scout Book out there if you need some help. https://help.scoutbook.com and you'll be good to go. And they have great people there to help you. Okay. Moving on to safety moments. This is the new element to roundtables that's been added by National. For September, they want to talk about want us to be talking about code of conduct. Do we incorporate a code of conduct? Do we have a code of conduct in our units? And if we do, is it something that's written down or is it just kind of loosey-goosey? And we should really kind of tighten that up. BSA has and supports codes of conduct. They have a Scout Executives Code, a camp staffs all have codes of conduct. And in 2015, they published a Scouter Code of Conduct. How many people, show of hands, have seen or heard of the Scouter Code of Conduct? Yeah, a few of us. Okay. Here's what it looks like. Okay. Completing the registration, answering all questions truthfully and honestly, living up to the Scout oath and law, holding others in Scouting accountable for those standards, exercising sound judgment, demonstrating good leadership, okay? Youth protection, when transporting youth, obeying the laws, youth protection guidelines, and safe driving practices. Agreeing to respect and abide by the rules and regulations of the Boy Scouts of America. Will not discuss or engage in sexual conduct while engaged in scouting activities and referring youth to their parents or their spiritual advisor. Fully disclosed, and this is the CORI kind of information, court orders, criminal charges, criminal suspicions. Will not possess, distribute, transport, consume any of the following items prohibited by law or in violation of the Scouting rules and policies. This is interesting. Alcoholic beverages and controlled substances, including marijuana, even though Massachusetts is a state where it is legal to use marijuana, medical or otherwise, this is part of the BSA Scouter Code of Conduct. Concealed or unconcealed firearms, fireworks or explosives, pornography materials. And if I am taking prescription medications with the potential of impairing my function or judgment, will not engage in activities that include driving or operating equipment. You notice it says, does not say operating large equipment. It says operating equipment. Chainsaws. You know, if you're out there somewhere, a saw or any kind of power equipment working with things, yeah. And taking steps to prevent or report any violations of the code by others. Their suggestion is that this Scouter Code of Conduct should be reviewed and signed by all leaders, committee members, and parents, so that we are holding ourselves, putting ourselves out there as an example and keeping ourselves and everyone who we're working with safe. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? You can toss them into chat because we're going to head to breakouts at this point for 20-minute sessions.
So again, with virtual meetings, I'm assuming from what I've been hearing from other units within the council and in the units I oversee, that we're pretty much not starting the meetings until a particular time, and that most units are not having a gathering type activity. Is that what my understanding is? just because I know from talking to parents and from unit leaders, they feel that they're trying to limit the amount of time needed on a Zoom meeting, just because, again, we went through Zoom this past spring for education. Most districts, as far as I know, within the state of Massachusetts, will be doing some form of Zoom as well for teaching, except for Catholic schools. They will be back in session, as far as I know. So with that being said, some things you can do within doing some type of pre-gathering activity, even if it's something to keep the scouts occupied before the actual meeting starts, is maybe do, when I was a Cub Master, we used to do a knot of the week. So we would send out the directions to the scouts ahead of time, or we would do it in my day before Zoom. We would do it right then and there, but it'd be a good way for all the scouts to learn how to do the basic knots, because again, that's something you're going to carry throughout your scouting career through Cub Scouts and through Scouts BSA. Another thing they can do is, I've seen units do bingo. I've seen units do scavenger hunts. I've actually had some units, to some dislike of the parents, do a tour of their houses. That didn't work out too well in some cases. So the kids' room was disastrous and the parents were embarrassed. Does anyone else have any questions or any ideas of what we can do with gathering activities during this time period? With one of the colleges I attended recently for commissioners, some units are using an online application called Jeopardy Labs. And it does require a small fee to use it, but basically you can set it up to be like a Jeopardy game with your own categories, either unique to your unit or unique to the scouting program, and that could be slightly entertaining for a period of time. But my point is, whatever we have for a meeting nowadays, for especially a pre-meeting, is to keep it as small and as like maybe 5 minutes at that, just because, again, parents and scouts alike are feeling zoomed out because everything's over video cameras right now and over Zoom meetings. But has anyone done anything else that's worked well within their packs up to this point in time? And if you just have
it wasn't a beginning activity, but we did do mug cakes. Basically what we did was we put the recipe, we did a share screen, and we did a recipe of a mug cake, and we talked to the kids through making it. And then each kid had to make their own mug cake, and they got to eat it and talk about, what they liked about it and things like that.
One thing that came to mind before I signed on was maybe, and I've seen a couple units do this, not within our council, but outside our council, is do like a, like show off your pets. Because a lot of scouters have their own pets that we necessarily don't see, because they're usually not allowed outside the house, or they're a little rambunctious when it comes to strangers. So that could be a good opportunity for scouts to show off their pets, whether it be cats, dogs, hamsters, gerbils, and like in that way, at least we don't have to worry, but the parents have to worry about the pets leaving the house. I know some other units have experimented with games, like online gaming, like say, and this doesn't always work in all cases, but in some cases, if you have Super Nintendo, Xbox, or PlayStation, and they're all on the same network, some units try to do like a pre-gaming activity before the meeting to at least try to get the kids excited to attending a Zoom meeting. Outside of that, I don't have a lot, because even when I was a Cub Master, we did this physically in person. We didn't have a lot of scouts coming to the meetings like within a half hour to begin with, maybe 15-10 minutes at the most. But lately, with my old unit, it was more along lines of either right on time or they're arriving within 15 minutes afterwards, just because they have so much going on in their personal lives that they can't get there all at the same time, especially if it's a family unit and you have brothers, sisters, cousins, nephews, and so forth, and they're all trying to get them into the meeting in time, or getting them from their last minute haircuts and everything else, dentist appointments. It's very hard to do that. So even when we have the traditional meeting times, we weren't always doing pre-gathering activities. In my case, we had the availability of the gymnasium, so we would do basketball, do some frisbee throws and so forth. And I'm famous for this. I like to say I used to have my den chiefs do all this stuff anyways, because I used to have a series of 4 to 6 den chiefs. So I'd be like, guys, here, you plan an activity to keep the families occupied so the leaders and the club master can get ready for the meeting. So again, in the traditional sense, and when we get back to the traditional program, I do suggest utilizing den chiefs if you have not done so already, because they can be a great asset to your program and help tremendously out for your den leaders and your unit leaders. Does anyone have any other thoughts on pre-gathering activities or anything else in general that's going on right now? Like Robin's got her dog out. Did everyone get their paperwork to meet in person at least? Or are they working on it?
PAC 1849 has their paperwork from the Moose Lodge, and actually tomorrow is our first attempt at in-person meetings out in the field, separated by the required amount of feet, square footage.
I'm sorry, Millie, you know that you sound like Mary tonight.
That's because it is Mary.
What are you doing? Okay. You're stealing her account now, huh?
How am I stealing her account? I have my own.
Right there.
Oh, sorry. Over my head.
Does anyone else have any concerns about the upcoming scouting season for recruitment, meeting in general, and so forth? Is everyone still doing a virtual and an in-person meeting if possible?
Yes.
Because I know there are some scout parents that are very amped to getting back to some version of in-person meetings, but I know with other challenges in place with schools doing their hybrid models, some schools are slowly doing a phased-in approach for meeting in person. Some parents may be a little wary about allowing their scouts to attend in person. So even if you do have permission to have an in-person program, I would still continue doing some type of virtual program as well, just because we all know there are going to be some scouts there or some parents who are not going to allow their scouts to join an in-person meeting for the meantime.
Concern I had is when the cold weather comes.
Oh yeah,
we've already talked about that. Yeah, right now the Moose has said we could have, you know, the big room, the small room, and the basement, but there's still, as of right now, if I read the safety guidance, is that it's 8 people per 1,000 square feet. If I add more people to my group, it's not that I don't want to add scouts, but I don't have many options on areas to meet. We're going to literally use the whole entire Moose Lodge to meet with our groups that we have so far. One of the parents has volunteered home to, because there's only 2 scouts and they're friends with the other scout anyway. So they offered to use their home as the meet. Is that still acceptable from scouts? Like, is there the scouting insurance cover them if they do that?
Yeah, as far as I know, that's never been done away with. I know I don't have much experience within this council, but in talking to people outside the council, especially with people in rural communities and so forth, they still do have individual den meetings at maybe den leaders' houses, as long as you follow the 2 deep leadership and as long as you keep the COVID guidance in place, it's still acceptable. Again, this was something that when I grew up in scouting in the 80s, that was widely common.
Right.
But nowadays, with you having larger charter organizations, we have the halls and so forth. But now, I do not see any issues with dens meeting in person, maybe at an individual's house, as long as they follow the guidelines put forth by the charter organization, the Scouts BSA, our council, and COVID guidance in general.
Okay.
my cousin that does Girl Scouts, they're not allowed to meet in homes because of bathroom usage for the COVID reason. I don't know if that's anything that has been brought up for our organization.
I have not seen anything in writing. A lot of what I've been seeing has been related to individual charter organizations not allowing scouts to use bathrooms, but I have not seen anything at a home level forbidding it.
I have a quick question. Would there be a need to apprise the chartering that your dens are meeting in homes? Because we need to get written permission from the charter org just to begin meeting. I do know of a unit that's going to be meeting at their camp. They have a camp that they use.
164?
No.
Oh, no. Oh.
They probably did.
Yeah.
But another one that's going to start in-person meetings this month, but they've got permission from the charter org to meet at, their camp. So, but again, having gone through the chartering organization. So.
Yeah, so in addition to what Shell's been saying is, yes, you would just make sure you keep your charter organization informed as to what you're doing is the biggest concern you have in this day and age.
Absolutely. But then it also goes back to adding more scouts. So right now I have enough room in the halls, and a lot of our parents have expressed that they don't really want to do Zoom meetings. They'd rather meet in person. So I'm running into that challenge of having enough room just even with the scouts that we have.
Is there, Melanie, like Mary now, we could talk about this offline, but is there a possibility of dens meeting in different nights with the Moose?
Yeah.
The Moose is only open now, I believe it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings.
Wow. Okay.
Because they're considered a bar, so they can't open as a bar like they used to
We
because
can
of
take this
Massachusetts.
offline, Mary, but maybe explore possibilities of doing weekend meetings if possible.
Mm-hmm.
We came up with a hybrid model for PAC 7. So what we do is we have a couple dens that are a little bit larger than others. So what we do is we have kids on Zoom and then some kids in person, and then we flip flop because we meet twice. We don't have den meetings right now. It's just basically 2 meetings a month as a PAC. So we do a hybrid version, almost like what school would do.
Yeah, as I said again, Mary, it was quite common in my day to meet at a parent's house after school, and back then you could have 3 or 4 dens of just Bear Scouts alone, and you would not actually meet with the rest of the pack until there was actually a pack meeting. We only got into meeting recently from when I got back into scouting about 10 years ago, was because we have the access to larger church halls, gathering places now, but it was not uncommon for scouts to meet at a parent's home after school or at night, just to reduce the amount of space taken up.
Right. No, I got that, but which even for my own den that I run, they had offered their basement, but the square footage wasn't available for all of us. So
maybe they just have one of the dens meet there if possible.
Yeah, that's it. It's the size of the group. Those restrictions are tough. Wow.
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
Don't forget, we're an outdoor year-round program. So I'm with a roll-up door. So I'm going to be having kids in my garage with a roll-up door, and my message is going to be dressed for the weather.
Good idea. Mm-hmm.
At least we'll have lights on because I do have fluorescent lighting out there. But they're just going to have their coats on, and we're going to do, we might do some exercises. We might march around the driveway to keep you warm. But I'm kind of anticipating just being outside.
Good plan.
With the door open and the breeze
blowing.
Yeah,
it's Jen said. Yeah, I do agree with Jen. The outdoors is definitely a very good possibility year round. You just have to make sure that your scouts are properly prepared for that, and so are their parents. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of funny when you made me think about that, Jen, was because I see a lot of kids now, especially teenagers, walking to school in shorts and a t-shirt even during the dead of winter. So it goes back to the fact, like, do they even own coats? So just a little funny thought in the back of my head. But yes, Jen, I do agree with you. When I was a kid, we used to meet out in all types of weather, as long as we were, back then we were thrown outside anyways in snow pants and everything else. So we were used to that kind of stuff. So it is very possible, but it may be a little bit of a culture shock for this generation of Scouts at times. But it is a good opportunity, especially when you get into colder weather. If you have the permissions of parents to use their houses, they can do basic cooking, basic outdoor activity that would fulfill the requirements. This is instead of waiting until the springtime. And again, we've said this in the past, you don't necessarily have to have a den meeting during the week. If it works out better for your den, do a activity on Saturday or Sunday so you can at least get your den activity in, but also be outside at the same time. Because I know there's some packs out there that are trying to do a lot more hiking just to get the Scouts out of the house.
Then with the hiking, we're having a couple issues because it says that no carpooling because of COVID also, or to use.
Are you talking for the mask wearing, Melanie?
Right. Well, if you read in there, it says preferably not to do carpooling.
Oh, of course, yeah.
If you do carpooling, they have to have the mask on and do the temperature check and everything before that.
Yeah, so again, we can be very creative in what we do for our activities. We just have to make sure, as a stress, like we follow COVID guidance, council, state, national, and local.
You know, who says you have to go far from your unit? You show up in an outside place, or you go fishing like Iris, and you spread out around the pond. You're hopefully engaging the families. They boys or girls who are interested in joining scouting. And the next thing you know, no pun intended on the fishing derby, but you've got them hooked. And, you know, why not? The kids, if they're indoors at school or at home on Zoom, wouldn't you want to get them outside running around? Wouldn't they want to do that? Think about it, you know? As much as you can, engage them outside, you know, even in the wintertime. Have a snow building contest. How many units have we seen this summer have virtual campouts where everybody sets up a tent in their backyard, or they set up a fire pit and they have a campfire program, you know? These are the things I see in different units. Those are good things. And the Scouts are being engaged. And I know that they've been busy and they keep the kids active all summer long. That's what it's all supposed to be.
We're being recorded as is usual. So just so you're aware, I will try to do my best to monitor questions and so forth in the chat room, and I'll let Mike kind of take over.
Thanks, Matt, and welcome everybody. So we also had as our feature for this month, the Scouting Safety Moments and the Safety Program. So before we get into, there's a whole lot there, and quite honestly, it's pretty fascinating. And you know, my whole career was in fire service, EMS, emergency management, so I've been dealing with stuff that goes wrong all my life. But first of all, we talk about safety. What's the perception that everybody has about safety and the Guide to Safe Scouting and all the notices and bulletins that come on? Mostly it's we have rules, regulations, restrictions. And how many times do you hear the Scouts talk about safety as the ultimate fun killer? when you try to stop something that's going on. So years ago, when it was actually a new edition of the Guide to Safe Scouting came out, there was a lot of fussing about what was in it. And our DE at the time made the observation, which I think is very timely when you think about the regulations and talk to other people, that a lot of the regulations that we face are written on scar tissue. They're not always in anticipation of preventing an accident, but after the fact, we end up, and if you look at today's culture, today's environment, we still see a whole lot of that. So as we go through that, there's a whole lot. We got the code of conduct, and in a minute, we're going to jump into some safety stuff, but I would like to try to bring the perception around to that safety is about risk management. That we go through a time that risk management is about mitigation, minimizing the chance of an injury or an accident, preventing an accident. And just to set the stage a little bit, if you think about safety as something of a continuum, where we have safe on one end, unsafe in the middle, and dangerous on the other end, everything we do can proceed through along that continuum. Think about climbing. Is climbing safe in itself? We make it safe. We've done a lot of risk management with belays and all the equipment and everything in there, but inherently it's unsafe. And everything that goes into the climbing tower is about the risk management to manage that risk in the unsafe zone. And we're going to face that in almost everything we do. So if it's unsafe, and you think about other activities we do, winter camping, hiking, caving, fires, woods tools, there's a whole lot of things that are in that unsafe zone that we have to, on a regular basis, mitigate the conditions that would lead to an accident. And then we get to dangerous. And when it gets to a point that you can't manage the risk, we're into dangerous. And then an accident's almost inevitable. And in one of my trainings over the years, I did some work with a risk manager. He's a lawyer out of California, best lawyer I ever heard speak. But he left us with a very important message that we all hear, is that, you know, how often do you hear, well, there's an accident waiting to happen? And his follow-up to that was just remembering that if it's predictable, it's preventable. And so to jump into that, I want to just share, I don't know how many of you have been to the site for health and safety on our website. There's a whole lot in here, so I just wanted to do a quick tour of the elements in here, because it's absolutely fascinating to see what's in here and all the things that we don't know or don't think about as we go through planning our events, looking at our programs, whether it's troop meetings or troop activities or games. And if you think about all the injuries that we've experienced. So if you haven't gone here and you have some time, is some really fascinating information. The Guide to Safe Scouting is here, the up-to-date version, and mostly the commitment to the BSA safety. So we don't have to read through all of this, but in keeping with the aims and methods of scouting, the age-appropriate events, when appropriate risks have been identified and mitigated. And that's where our responsibility as adults comes in, to keep the program safe and not leave a free-for-all up to teenagers who don't always have the best judgment. So the this kind of follows up to the code of conduct, which is here, which we won't revisit right now. But for adults and for us, knowing all of the safety, bringing it into the planning, being vigilant with all the tools and resources that you have available, and setting an example. And sometimes that's probably the hardest thing, is to step back and not join in the risky behavior. So in here, so when does a safety moment, when do we use safety moments? And I'm going to say probably not enough, but they are moments, literally just opportunities, that classic teaching moment. And they're all here, and it should be part of the briefing and preparation for any scouting activity. To look at it and, as an adult, step back objectively and ask the question, what could go wrong here? And look into that and create, if there's not a scouting moment here, then create your own that would address the risks that you see ahead. And these are the safety moments in all, and some interesting topics, acute mountain sickness, our health and safety, the need for it, ADD, special needs, asthma, bunk beds. Think about our cabin camping, and have you thought about all the risks and behaviors that lead to injuries? Campfires, kind of self-exploiting. Our checklist for camping, carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, Christmas tree, charcoal, climbing, concussions, communicable disease, CPR, diabetes. There's just some fascinating stuff if you delve into these, that you can use the safety moments to create your own on-the-spot teaching moment for the scouts as part of a briefing before an event, even as staff at a Camporee or Klondike Derby, before scouts engage in an activity with tools, stoves, anything, to jump in. And they're all formatted like this, somewhere in the bulleted format, with some very things that you can pick and choose what works for you and for that particular event. Customize it. I think just preaching the guide to safe scouting. There's a long list here. Generators, hammock camping, another fascinating one. When you look at some of the things that we take as routine, and I don't know how many of you have hammock hangers in your troops and have experienced some of the issues with hanging hammocks, falling out of hammocks, not secured, not good anchors, trying silly things like being above water, playing in them. How many times do we intervene and try to prevent that activity? And they are all downloadable so that you can print them, bring them along with you. It's a good education for us as well, as we go through this, to look at these things beforehand and refresh our thoughts about what's going on at any of these types of activities and injuries. And there's videos that you can pull off. Let's try and get to the, and this is one of the tools that, let's see a second. And this one's kind of fascinating because it gives you an opportunity to develop a risk rating, which will help communicate the severity of the situation with the scouts, with the other leaders, some of the parents who may not be familiar with all the policies and procedures. And look at that, identifying it and putting it into a number, a color, something that may catch more attention than us just presenting a safety moment. So these are all within that. So these are the safety moments. Tremendous resource before you know, even if you're just planning. The other one I'm going to touch on before we touch on reporting is this page has of the website has a similar format, but is incident reviews. These are many times near misses that have been reported. The almost accidents, the one we got away with. And again, it's really thought-provoking to jump into some of the common cases like bunk beds and look at the things that have happened to other scouts that resulted in minor or near injuries that were reported. And then the results of, in this case, it was a possible concussion from falling on the top bunk. And additional resources. But some of these things we take very kind of matter-of-factly when the scouts are playing around on the bunks. And in fact, there's been a number of falls. There was one, I can find it. It was almost a fall with entanglement. He didn't make it to the ground, but kind of get tangled up in the bunk structure. But and then some ideas of how to prevent them, how to mitigate those. And you think about, I think about all the times we were cabin camping and bunk beds were involved. And again, almost like the safety moments, looking at almost every aspect of scouting, some things that we don't even really think about. Very common one that we run into in the wintertime is hypothermia, even in the mild stages. A scout becoming lethargic, unconscious twice, didn't even know what day it was. And if you look at the background, outings and outings, winter outings, cold water swimming, which you don't always think about initially with hypothermia, but these are all great places to look at if you're thinking about a winter trip, jumping back into looking at some of the incidents that have happened, the near misses. Yeah. So incident reporting is a key, and I don't know how many reports that our council receives. And again, I think that's one of the shortcomings, that we don't see what's happening around us, and it doesn't become into our consciousness. But taking care of the injury and then actually completing the incident reports, documenting the injury or near miss, and getting it into the appropriate. So the forms are all here. They can be printed out. Child abuse. And then the important one is, in addition to the actual, but the near misses. And then with it, this site also has a lot of information about opportunities for training, both regular wilderness first aid, transportation, all the policies and guidelines. And just general resources. And I think, this is one that I don't know how often people really look at it. And I know just from my own personal experience that this Webelos, the wolf bear to getting into scouts, seen a lot of non-compliance with some of this, that we get excited about the program, bring things in, and this is part of our risk management, staying age appropriate, staying at a safe level of what these scouts can undertake at their age with their abilities. And the last one is always remembering, how many know the 16 points of the Sweet 16 of safety? Been around for a long time, but this is the key. It's all in here. The qualified supervision, physical fitness, buddy system, safe area, safe equipment, personal protective equipment, safety procedures and policies, not just what comes down from national and from council, but within our own units to implement policies and procedures to mitigate any risks that we might encounter. Skill levels, weather, proper planning, proper communications, plans and notices, first aid and other emergency resources, being aware of policies, laws, CPR joins with first aid, and finally the discipline of our supervisors and our scouts to manage the activities, manage the risks. So I'd encourage everybody to bring this into their programs and make a safety moment part of the planning process. And as we head into winter and sledding and ice skating and hiking on ice and all the other things, it's a great time to start. So, any questions or thoughts? Okay, Matt, back to you.
Okay, we've got 1 minute before we go back to the main room. So thank you, Mike, for doing that presentation. This material is available on the national website. I posted the link in the chat. Definitely check it out and review it with your leaders. Make sure everyone's aware that this exists. See how you can implement it in part of your program, in your planning process. For older scouts, they should be looking at this material just as much as the leaders. Venturers and older scouts that are planning programs should be aware of what they are able to safely do and what's appropriate for their age level. So these things do change as well. So be aware that the Guide to Safe Scouting is always being updated, and have a copy with you at every activity, or have access to the web version if you don't, so that you can be safe. And I think we're going to be shuttled back shortly.
Welcome back, everyone. Do we have everyone back from both breakout areas? Okay. I just want to double check through chats to see if there were any questions that I need to answer. Rob, I'm going to answer this publicly as well. We're going to have a question about, is all popcorn available for show and sell? That's a question that you would have to ask Art. I'm not sure just what's available through the office. So Art should be available tomorrow, and you can get in touch with him. Okay. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I hope you all had a really good Labor Day weekend. Oh, I've got 2 new messages. Let's see. Regarding the safety materials you just saw, are there training packages that include review questions like there are for YPT? I don't know. Mike, is that something you could answer? I'm assuming, Jamie, you were in the Scouts BSA?
Yeah. Some of the programs on the myscouting.org training, like weather, obviously safe swim defense, safety afloat, climbing, trekking, do have that and carry a certification, which I think they're all good for 2 years. and they would be certified. Some of those are actually required or highly recommended. The other safety moments is really is trying to build it into our program and make it habit to look at the things that become risky. And I know neither my troop, we've seen fractures resulting from sledding and other things that we probably should have been more on top of. So yeah, look at the My.Scouting for some of those programs, and you'll find certifications for some.
Okay. All right, so we will go to our closing.
And even if it's been a while,
after all the many miles,
you're always welcome here. And whoa, and even if life brings a change,
I know we'll be the same.
you're always welcome here. You're always welcome.
I do this because I love the interaction with kids, and you make friendships for life.
And whoa, always welcome, always welcome.
It's been a great experience. We've made a lot of wonderful friends. It's just a great program for kids, I think.
Cub Scouts gives you an opportunity to build relationships with people. It was just something different all the time. So it's been a really good experience to actually be a part of.
I love being able to teach the kids, watching them light up when they get something that they're frustrated about. They just are like, yay!
And even if it's been a while,
after all the many miles,
you're always welcome
here.
And even if life brings a change,
I know we'll be the same.
you're always welcome here. You're always welcome.
Thank you all for joining us, and have a great September, and we will see you on October 5th. Thanks so much.
Good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are having a nice Labor Day weekend. And as you can see, I'm recording this video on Thursday, September 3rd. A couple updates I want to share with you with the council and program. Our service centers continue to be open with some modified hours in Westfield. We're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday is a later start and goes into the evening, and Berkshire Service Center is continuing with its regular hours. We want to say thank you to a number of families that took up our McGee Cup Challenge. The McGee Foundation makes grants to our council camps to make improvements there in support of our youth programs. And one of our traditional programs is a Friday camp-wide game that we couldn't hold this year, so we had an outdoor physical distance challenge, and we had a number of people participate in that. And we're happy to pass out a nice little gift bag with a Moses Manor House cup for our McGee Cup Challenge to the Trout family and the Trexler family. And thank everyone that participated in that. And we thank the McGee Foundation for their continued support. Also want to say thank you to all of the scouts and families and our staff that participated in Camp Kainalika this summer. There were over 1,500 campers from throughout the United States that participated in this program, some for 1 week, some for several weeks. We've had some outstanding positive feedback and some suggestions for growth in the future. You know, there's still a couple of pieces of advancement that are being finished up, and if you are waiting on some information and not getting responses, do feel free to copy me on that by email, greg.williams@scouting.org, and we'll help you out. Thank you again to everybody, particularly to John and Teddy, who are our first year Scout instructors. There's some updates or just reminders for Scout Book. The Den Leader Experience is a tool that was started last year for our Cub Scout Den Leaders. You can log in and you're able to take the pre-existing meetings, drop them in on the calendars, and have your scouts know what you're working on ahead of time, take attendance, and also some follow-ups with advancements that were completed during that weekend, or during that meeting, excuse me. And so look into that tool. I'm just showing you a picture of the video here, but there's training online. Another tool that was released recently is the Cub Scout Adventure Video Resources. 50 different councils from throughout the BSA came together to film supporting videos for the different adventures in our various levels of Cub Scout programs. Some of them are short and only cover part of the adventure. Some are longer and quite professionally done and detailed. So I encourage you to look for those resources. You can use those for in-person or online virtual meetings to support your advancement experiences with our Cub Scouts at this time. And also I wanted to let you know that recently we had an error with our merit badge counselor updates into Scout Book. That has been corrected as of September 1st, and our Scouts BSA leaders will be able to go in and you can search for merit badge counselors within so many miles of certain zip codes, 5, 10, I think it goes 20, 50 miles. And you can, it's a little hard to see on there, but it'll come up with the person's name and their phone numbers, emails, also letting you know if they are open for unit only or district or for the entire council. If they are for a unit only, they won't show up on your unit unless that's the unit they're registered with. But it also shows you which merit badges they are registered for, and for you to be able to connect with your scouts. Just one of the initiatives that we've been doing for many years is collaborating with a group of organizations in Holyoke for a back to school day, where we pass out somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 backpacks. The Western Massachusetts Council has been taking the climbing wall, and the climbing team has been there to support recruitment and back to school activities in the city of Holyoke. This year being very unique, instead of one day long event, we're doing 11 different events at each of the elementary schools. So we've supported, put a flyer into each of those backpacks, helped put everything into the backpack, and the volunteers have been very limited this year to be pre-approved with screening, but we are part of about half of those distributions throughout the city of Holyoke. So just one of the things that's happening behind the scenes that we may not all be aware of. Some updates to programs impacted by COVID-19 this fall. These are some programs that have been postponed or canceled or discontinued. So I'm not going to go through great details, but just want to make sure that you're aware that the belay training has been moved to the spring. We were hoping to do a weekend for Cub Scouts and a weekend for Scouts BSA up at Moses due to the gathering limitations. Those have been canceled at this time. WOWL is planning to start up in November, and our Moses Scout Reservation 75th anniversary will be moved to the spring as well. If you're interested in reserving a anniversary patch, you can do so on our website. There's a way to do so on the very front main page. Order them now, and when they come in, you'll have an opportunity to pay, but it will help us know how many to order. And just not really an event, but wanted to let everyone know that the Hornaday Awards have been discontinued at this time. There was a recent announcement of a collaboration with the EPA on a new award, and more details of a replacement for Hornadays will be coming out soon. So, but if you are working on the Hornaday Awards or planning something there, look for more information soon on what will be replacing that. Some things that are happening as the BSA is having its second installment of the National Family Fun Fest on September 12th. It'll be on Facebook Live, and everyone is welcome to participate in that, of all ages. It is a bit more focused on the Cub Scout age, but you do not have to be a Scout. So share this event with your friends. And one of the highlights is going to be the running of a nationwide Pinewood Derby tournament. And Scouts have been able to mail their cars in to be run, as well as they are making a car that was designed in the previous event that was held the first weekend of August. So look for that news online. As I already talked about our WOA starting up. And I want to just give you just a little teaser of our council fundraising event on November 19th. Instead of a dinner and silent auction this year, we will be having a virtual Honoring Our Heroes event. It will have a number of components to it, including a auction, but it will also include the ability to have a meal delivered to you at home that you can have with your family, or invite some friends over and host them for a meal with an online component, and honoring our DCAR honorees and our local heroes. So look for more information coming very soon. And I wanted to also highlight our high adventure trip that's being planned for next April. There are still some slots available, but we have had a number of people signing up recently. Our Order of the Arrow is planning a number of events this fall. There will be a mix of hybrid and in-person opportunities. So look for more information coming directly from them. But if you are a older unit with the Scouts BSA, Sea Scouts, or venturing and have not had unit elections yet in this past year, please reach out to them. Consider doing so. They are ready to do so virtually or in person. And if you have Scouts that have been elected already, instead of a 12-month period to complete the ordeal, there is an extension due to the COVID-19 pandemic for 24 months. But we hope everyone will consider participating in this September's hybrid ordeal. If you're looking for ways to get involved up at camp, we have a work day coming up on September 12th, and you can see some of the activities that they have planned to take place there. You just come on up, meet up at the maintenance shed, and lunch will be provided. Bring some work gloves, work clothes, and if you have any specialty tools that would be helpful here, feel free to bring them, but otherwise just bring yourself and join on in. And a new meeting that will be starting the third Thursday of each month is we're calling our council coordinated committees meetings. And this is an opportunity for our council and district volunteers that are working on the activities that you can see listed there to come together for a joint opening that share what's happening throughout the council, breakout for about a 20-25 minute period to share and do a little bit of work between the various district activities and council activities, and then come back for a final sharing so that we're all aware of what's happening between our district and council committees and how we might be able to support each other. So that'll be 7 o'clock. And there will be information soon on our online calendar. A number of people have asked about our Scout reservation availability for use as we're restarting in-person scouting. At this time, we are not open for overnight camping. Anyone that comes on up is expected to follow the federal, state, and local COVID-19 requirements pertaining to masking and social distancing while they're up there. The property is open to any of our units and our scouting families for recreational day use. We just ask you that you go through the medical pre-screening questions and I'll show you where to find those. They're also available at the sign-in at the Manor House. So just one person from the group sign in, sign out, verify that you've done those screening activities, and have a great time up at camp. We don't have any regular programming. Our bathroom facilities and stuff are not open at this point in time, so do be prepared for that. You may find the some of the CTS and outhouses available, but you may bring your own materials and for cleaning there and for usage. Now, a couple groups have asked about being able to specifically reserve a spot so that they know it's theirs when they get there for either a weekday evening troop meeting or pack activity, or even a weekend activity, wanting a specific campsite to be able to use. And during this time, we've turned off online reservations for our cabins, our tent sites, and our day use facilities, but you can still see them there. But you can reserve them. Just contact either Jasmine or myself in the office, and we will be able to make the reservation for you for the day use. We are waiving all fees. We want you to come up and use the space and augment your program as best as you possibly can. A couple of groups have done so already and asked if they could make donations. Certainly donations are welcome and appreciated, but we're just happy to make the sites available to you and make sure that they're reserved for you. You can reserve a cabin space. Indoor facilities right now are not being rented, except for very special, perhaps trainings through me because of indoor limitations, numbers of gathering. But you can reserve a cabin area if you want to use the outside fire ring, and that's the space that you want. So happy to have you come on up. If you have questions, reach out to Jasmine or myself and we'll help you. This page is just showing you that you can find some more supporting documents on our main website in two locations. You can click here and go to a website, or down at the bottom we have some information, particularly a little packet of some recommendations for units or for daytime activities, as well as just one of the primary youth serving program guidelines for the state of Massachusetts, a link there as well. And that's it for our updates here. Hope everybody has a great roundtable. We'll see you next time.